Welcome back everyone to the channel. It's me, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, or the Nerd Chicano. Either way, how you say it, it's all good here. And we're back for another installment of Between the Frames as we begin our journey through our new set. And as announced in my last video, you know what set it is. None other than the Godfather Trilogy on 4K. Yep. We have finished our journey through the Alfred Hitchcock's Collections Volume 1, as we talked about the birds on the last video. And now we're making our way into one of the greatest and one of the most famous trilogies of all time, as we look at Godfather Part 1, Part 2, and The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, as we make our way through this 4K set. And I'm really excited. And as always, remember y'all, when we begin a new set, we always take a look at the set itself. So let's go ahead and do that. So if you watched my unboxing, well, not my unboxing, it was my collection update, you've already seen what this looks like, but as a refresher for everybody, let's go ahead and do that. So you have the Godfather Trilogy on 4K right here, and then you look at the back, and then you look at the spine, and that's pretty much it. So then you are just gonna, remove this, and it comes out like this. Cool. Put that out there, down there, and you have, first, of course, you have the Godfather Part 1, and then in the back it says, I'm going to make him an offer you can't refuse, right? You open it up, you have your 4K disc and some art right there. It is good to note that this is the 4K set. So you would think, oh, it's going to come with 4K and Blu-ray. No. This only comes with 4K. There is a standalone Blu-ray set which comes with these films that you can also buy. But on this set right here, it only comes with the 4K copies. So that's part 1. And then of course part 2 that we'll be talking about next week. You open it up, it has the, right there, the 4K disc. And in the back it says, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Okay. And then of course we have the Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone right there. And then the back it says, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Open it up. You got the art and the 4K disc right there. Very interesting to see that they are pretty much going with the idea that this is the third installment. No longer considering Godfather Part 3 as the third installment, because if you look at the bonus discs right here, which you have right there, you just see Godfather Part 3 right there in the bonus discs on 4K. And then you have a bonus, special features, with all the special features on this, along with the, on the Godfather Part 3, you have the, feature film, the theatrical, and the 1991 cut of the film. So that's in the feature films, that's in the bonus discs part of the set. But of course, as they have pretty much stated it and stressed it at this point, this is the actual version, the real definitive version of Godfather Part 3, which we'll be talking about the following week, after Godfather Part 2. So that's the set, y'all. I really like this set. I think it's a great looking set. You know, it's good in presentation for what you get. Part of me wishes that they would have done a better job with like some of these. Like, I wish we could have gotten a little bit of extra stuff, maybe like some cards and stuff. There is a collector's version of this that goes for like 100 something, and I watched some I watched some unboxings, and honestly it didn't look like anything I needed to get. So yeah, I pretty much just decided to get this set, and I really like it. So without further ado, let's get into The Godfather from 1972. So of course this is another one of those circumstances where it's not on Criterion, so it doesn't have this like beautiful introduction for this film that we can read off of. I simply am just gonna go to Blu-ray.com and read some info for you all about this film. So The Godfather, each of these 3 discs are in the same video format, so you're gonna get tired of me having to repeat it, but codec is HEVC H.265. We have native 4K resolution in 2160p. It its HDR is Dolby Vision for The Godfather. The rest are in HDR10. The aspect ratio is in its original aspect ratio of 185:1. And for the audio tracks, we have on The Godfather, we have a English Dolby True HD 5.1, 48 kilohertz, 24-bit track. We have a Dolby Digital 2.0 mono. This is the original track at 224 kilobits per second. We have a Spanish, French, Spanish and French in Dolby Digital 5.1 at 640 kilobits per second. And then we have another French in Dolby Digital 2.0 in 224 kilobits per second. And then we have an Italian in Dolby Digital 5.1, 640, and another one in Dolby Digital 2.0 in 224. We have a Japanese in Dolby Digital 2.0 and a Portuguese one in Dolby Digital 5.1, 640 kilobits per second. Honestly, it's pretty much the same thing for the next ones following, except for Godfather Part 2. Now, subtitles, we have English SDH, French, Italian, Japanese, Portuguese, Spanish, Danish, Dutch, Finnish, Norwegian, and Swedish. We have a 4K Ultra HD disc on this one, and it is a 5-disc set. So, of course, you didn't see the code in there because I've already downloaded my digital code, but it does come with a digital code. It's in a slipbox and digipack embossed print, and it's Blu-ray. 4K Blu-ray is region free. So for all of you out there my viewers who are in Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, you can watch this on your Blu-ray, on your 4K Blu-ray player, because it is Blu-ray. It is region free. Now let's talk about The Godfather. This is one of my favorite films of all time. Easily one of my favorite films of all time. It is in my top 10. I actually have seen this multiple times now. But what is special about this is that this wasn't the first time I saw this 4K restoration. I actually watched this with my brother and with my good friend Luis, who is the editor of these videos and wonderful person who helps me film these videos. Luis and we all watched it in Dolby Cinema, and we watched the new 4K restoration when it came to AMC. And I will tell you all, it is one of the greatest experiences in a cinema that I've ever been able to experience in my 25 years of life. This looked amazing in the theater. I mean, you could tell 100% all the work that they put in. And I rewatched it, of course, because I wanted to see how it would play on disc. For those of you who didn't get the chance to watch this when it was in the theaters and it played there, you guys missed out, because it was just wonderful. This movie is easily one of the most important American films of all time. It is probably the definitive American film. I mean, it is truly, in all of its sense, a great film. It is really long, of course, and everybody will bring that up, but I feel like it needs to be long. You really need to dissect and really experience the story of Vito Corleone and how it's going to set up the story of Michael Corleone and where we're going to head into Godfather Part 2. I love the performances from Diane Keaton, from Al Pacino, from Robert Duvall, from Marlon Brando. I mean, this film has incredible performances left and right, especially from people like James Caan as well, who's in here. Francis Ford Coppola directs the hell out of this movie, especially being like one of his like early works. Like I think this is like his 4th or 5th movie, if I can remember correctly. He's able to make this grand epic that is still very relevant to today, and I love this movie so much, man. I've never gotten tired of it. I think I've seen it like 5 times now, or 6 times, I can't remember, and I never get tired of it. I always love all those phrases that are so memorable, like leave the gun, take the cannoli, I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. You know, and even like silly little parts where Clemenza is teaching Michael how to make like spaghetti and meatballs. I love that. This movie never gets tiring. It is truly the gritty look of the gritty look of the Corleone family, and It's such an epic story. I love this movie. There's not much else I can say. I've seen this movie so many times, and every time it feels even more special than the time before. Now, let's talk about the 4K restoration. It is no surprise, my friends. I mean, we talked about Apocalypse Now, the final cut on here. We have seen the extensive work that Francis Ford Coppola can do on this film, on these films, and I watched, of course, the introduction from Francis Ford Coppola that also played at the theaters. He, pretty much talks about just all the work that he did on this film before, and how much he was, how much he was appreciative of all the work that went through it, but also just like the extensive, long restorative work that went through this. I mean, they just, I mean, there's no other way to say it, y'all. This looks amazing. I mean, it truly is 100% one of those reference discs when you want to talk about the power of 4K Ultra HD. This movie, the way they were able to really stylize with the contrast and the color grading, be able to maintain the grain and being able to like upscale everything into the new resolution just fits perfectly well. There are moments in here where I'm just floored by how much they were able to put into this film and be able to bring it some new life, but being able to maintain everything that makes it so special. Like the cinematography and the lighting, being able to maintain those colors and those contrasts and the black and white levels. It just translates so well to The Godfather. It is one of those like just those 4K UHD discs that you are just going to say like, this is truly one of the best discs that exist. I've said that about the Apocalypse Now Final Cut disc. I haven't been able to talk about it on here, but the Dune 2021 disc is also one of those that just is magnificent on the 4K format, and that's the case for The Godfather. There are no moments in here where I think that like, hey, they kind of didn't do this right and they kind of did a sloppy job. No, each part in this film looks amazing in 4K. Some of my favorite scenes to like reference are a lot of like the stuff in Sicily. When Michael goes to Sicily, those look amazing. When Michael's in the hospital taking care of when he's gonna go check on Vito, that looks great. And then of course one of my favorite scenes of all time, when Michael does his first kill, that just looks amazing in this new 4K format. So that's a passing by me. I highly recommend The Godfather Part 1. It looks amazing in 4K. And let's go ahead and head into our audio restoration now. Y'all, this is a beautiful Atmos track. The surround sound is fantastic. It's very crisp, it's clear. It sounds like, they were able to maintain that original sound of The Godfather and didn't have to like change everything about it. There's discs, like a lot of the things that I talked about in the Alfred Hitchcock ones, where I felt like, that was still like, it was Dolby Digital, I believe, or Dolby True HD, and it felt like Dolby X, and they were able to do, a good job, but it felt like it sacrificed a lot of what made it sound so good, and like being able to, mess with the levels a bit of like dialogue. Here, everything sounds perfect. I can't really express it more than that. This audio restoration, it sounds great, especially if you have that surround sound system that you can do your 5.1 or 7.1. This sounds great, and this is just, I mean, the Atmos track here is wonderful. I mean, for everybody out there who has Atmos and you play this, you know what I mean. Those gunshots sound so like crazy close. It sounds like somebody's literally shooting the gun in front of you, and it sounds just amazing. The audio sounds great. There's no hissing, there's nothing like that. It's still able to maintain that original sound of The Godfather. And of course, if you want to hear the original track, it's in there. I switched it back and forth at some points, and you can really tell the difference with this Atmos track. I really like this track, and it's one of those instances where audio and video both received the same amount of care, and they did just a great job at being able to maintain that. Of course, to stay up to date with all the things that I do on social media, make sure you follow me at The Nerdy Chicano on everything, like Twitter, Instagram, Serialized, Letterboxd, all that wonderful stuff. make sure you're keeping up to date with this channel by subscribing and turning on your notification bell, because that's really important, because you do not want to miss a single piece of content. I have opened up my Patreon page, my friends. If you want to get a extra look at some of the stuff that I'm doing and some extra exclusives that I'm bringing to Patreon, like some film essays, but I'm also adding some early access. If you want to get this video early for anybody sees it on the Wednesday that it premieres, along with other episodes of Between the Frames, the Cinema Condition, and other reviews that might come to this channel, you can get them early by going to www.patreon.com/thenerdychicano. Make sure you guys go check that out. Also keep up to date with all the things that I do on the Nerdcore. At the moment, I am covering Tribeca Film Festival, so make sure you keep up to date by going to thenerdcore.com and check out all the podcasts that we're doing as well all over there. And of course, we are going to be talking about Godfather Part 2 next week. And in the meantime, it's been so much fun, y'all. It's been such a great time to talk to you all about this wonderful piece of physical media that is The Godfather on 4K. And next week we talk about The Godfather Part 2. But in the meantime, to my renowned cinephiles and scholars, celebrate the love of cinema today, tomorrow, and every day after. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.